Hello, everybody. My name is Eric McLeod.
And I'm Chris Holden.
And welcome to LowBlowRadio podcast, the blow by blow of WWE Backlash 2020. Chris, what'd you make of the show?
It was like a giant Raw, right?
Yeah.
Or SmackDown. I mean, it wasn't a pay-per-view's pay-per-view. The greatest wrestling match of all time was pretty good, but it wasn't the greatest wrestling match of all time.
No.
And the cinematic treat that we got. Oh, yeah, that face says it all, buddy. Oh, my God. What was that? What was that?
I don't know where you want to start with this entire card, but I mean, I've got questions all over the board, but that one I probably have the most with, but it was just jarring more than anything else you called it on our predictions video. If anyone wants to check that out here on our Low Blow Radio page, you said that they were going to become friends out of this. There was no luck for them to go anywhere else.
I didn't rewatch it yet, but I think I called Viking Prophets as the name for the foursome.
You very well could have. I can't quite remember. I definitely remember you calling that part of it, though. So, hands off to you on that end. So, do you want to start from the beginning? You want to start from the end? Where do you want to go?
Let's go from the top.
All right. Yeah. Say plenty to cover. Kickoff. Did you see the kickoff show? That's where they ended up throwing our boy Apollo Crews.
Yeah. Well, figures, right? As soon as they said the Raw Tag Team title match was on the main show, someone was going to get sloughed off to the pre-show.
Yeah.
And in the era when we're trying to make the Intercontinental title look so much more prestigious and more important than we have in a few years, the U.S. title is not living up to that billing. So, yeah.
Well, at this point, it's like, to me, it's the people who get the push on TV. Like, how long have we been watching Andrade and CN and Angel Garza. And Apollo Crews, and then now Kevin Owens, like all kind of tangled up into this mess together. And it's like it's had a pretty main place on Raw. So it seems like so odd to just throw it just quickly on the pre-show, like as if it was just like a throwaway match. And it was very entertaining, and it got over, but I don't know how many eyes were on it because of where it was on the card. So,
and I honestly do think that since now we're not in the true pay-per-view era anymore with wrestling, or with WWE anyway, that they feel that a pre-show slot is essentially the same thing as being on the main card. I think that that's how they see the treatment, so they don't feel it's a slight, or that's their justification for it.
Right.
Because I don't know what effect there is. It's just starting earlier is really all it is. It's not a difference of free now and the sale pre the pay-per-view, right? Like it used to be. So I don't know. I will say I agree with you though on that. It seems very strange that the guys that are closing Raw on a Monday nights and have been main eventing that show, in KO's case, since before WrestleMania, have been the main event on Raw.
Yeah.
And they're kicking off a pay-per-view, and Owens isn't really on the card.
And like you said, I'm fine with that sort of if they have to look at this pay-per-view structure a little bit differently, okay, well, that's fine to drink it in. Then tell me on Raw, tell me leading up to this, that this match is on the pre-show so that you are predetermined to know what match is where. Like they do that with AEW. When there's going to be a match that's on the buy-in, they push it that way. It doesn't make it feel like anything less. You just know that's what you're getting to kick your night off.
Yeah.
Now they haven't always been the best matches, show stealers or anything, but entertaining nonetheless. And you sort of, don't feel that it was missed not being on the main card or.
We're preconditioned to a degree to expect these late announcements of a match from WWE.
Yeah,
expect they're going to be on the pre-show and expect they're going to suck and be treated as an afterthought match. And for a match that had storyline behind it, it is strange that it was treated as an afterthought like this, albeit not very good storyline, right? So
true, and I don't know if that's just sort of a trickle off of just what the tail ends of what this feud or things were. I'm glad Apollo went over. I'm glad there hopefully is still going to be a push for him in this. Putting a title on him, that kind of stuff. It's totally just more eyes and that kind of stuff. I don't know where Kevin falls in that scene right now, but
I'm glad I am glad they kept the title on Cruz. I think we spoke earlier today without a podcast about the recent creative changes with Raw and Paul Heyman apparently losing that spot as creative director of the show. And is that going to affect the pushes of guys like Apollo Crews and Andrade and Garza? Zelina Vega going to even have a stable anymore? Is any of what we've been seeing, right, going to carry on? Aleister Black wasn't on this show. Seth Rollins wasn't on this show, though. So, all right.
Well, that seemed like a match that was initially going to be built, and it seemed like was set up for this, and that got sort of changed or whatever. But
I guess the counter argument would be if the ratings have been dropping off, how much does that have to do with the guys that have been put into these spots? Maybe they're not the people the crowd want to see. And then the counter argument, of course, to that is if we weren't in the current situation we're in with no crowds, etc., things could be entirely different anyway. There was definitely things were on an upswing before the shutdown came along and forced no crowds.
Yeah, a lot of it could just be in response to that and who's available and what,
that too,
what kind of spots they're sort of roped into. So, yeah, I mean, the right person kind of won in this situation. I don't need to see the belt go back and forth too much, that kind of thing. If this helps get more eyes on Apollo, I just hope they find a good feud for him. And there definitely needs to be some damage control on Apollo, or not on Apollo, but on Andrade.
Vega's whole crew. I mean, the
whole crew. I mean,
what's the point?
Yeah, I mean, what's his name still has Angel Garza still has the big win over KO. I feel like that could still be there's something there, hopefully, but yeah, it's a lot. It's like you're pulling at pretty weak strands at this point. So, we kicked off the night with the women's tag team title match, the triple threat between Alexa Bliss, Nikki Cross, the Iconics, and Sasha Banks and Bayley. What did you make of this match, Chris?
A decent match. I mean, it was what we expected, aside from Banks and Bayley retaining, or I think you did call that, right? I thought the Iconics were going to swoop in and sneak it away.
Yeah, you came in pretty quick with Iconics. You thought they were pretty much going to just was an excuse to just take it off one to put it on the other, I guess. But which, I mean, I wouldn't put it past them with the way WWE books these days. I liked that it was triple threat rules. Sometimes when you get this kind of thing, it's like just whoever the two opponents are in the ring, right? And they can kind of tag out to the other tags. It was kind of neat that they tried to do as many spots as they could with 3 women in the ring, but it very quickly became clear that it takes a lot of focus to do that kind of stuff because you've got a lot of dead spots with people just sort of standing around not doing anything, the other girls running in, the ref not being able to sort of keep control, and then it would just sort of turn into a bit of a spot fest and that kind of stuff. But I don't mind these kind of things as like a kickoff if they're going to just keep the momentum going and that kind of stuff, like just keep a lot of big fun spots, that kind of stuff. But yeah, it didn't seem, I mean, the biggest thing I took out of this whole match was I liked seeing Alexa Bliss and Bayley, and it's because they're on different shows that you don't get to see them together, so it was nice to see them in this sort of mix up. But I'm instantly just like, the divisions are just too thin on both shows. This was nice to see more of the women together, and it's cool they're going to put that Sasha and Bayley are going to go to NXT to defend the titles, and just mix it up more that kind of way. But yeah, instantly that was the biggest thing that I took from this was like, I haven't seen those two in the ring in a while. It'd be cool to see more of those two together. But they're still doing this 2-show thing, and it's like Bayley needs faces to come up against her title right now, and yeah, it's just unfortunate that they're not on the same brand. So
no issue really with Bayley and Banks retaining the belt aside from
the golden role models. Get it right. They named themselves at the end of this match.
Having Bayley 2 belts.
2 straps. 2 straps. Come on, she's different.
Having Bayley 2 straps. The woman. Is she going with that yet, or is that not started yet?
Not yet. We can start. We'll start that.
We'll start that. The woman and Sasha Banks. The woman and the boss.
Boss time. He said it. Oh, I loved it.
I don't have a problem that they retained, except for it's still now the slow boil of Bayley and Sasha's eventual separation and split feud, which you would assume that's going to be a big match at SummerSlam, or I would have assumed it was. Maybe they're holding it off for the crowd era to return, and then so it's further down the road now. But SummerSlam seemed like the event to have that match at, which if Bayley's not going to lose the singles title, that should be for that belt with Sasha taking off or whenever they do it. So they have losing the tag belts is going to be part of the breakup whenever it does come.
Yeah. I mean, that seems inevitable, but I'm fine with that. It makes a good story for them.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
but the longer they keep it, the more it highlights this thin division that you have. So, again, interesting that the show kicks off with a multi-lady match, just like the last two shows that we've talked about.
Very true.
Division,
and
at
very,
the same
very
time as highlighting how
polarizing.
We don't have an awful lot of people in this division.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, it's one of those, where do you go from here? Nice to see them retain, but, I mean, other than going to NXT, I guess that's where you see them go from here. But after that, I mean, I'd rather see, the inevitability, I guess, is, just the belt's coming off them. So it'll be whoever takes that place, I guess. But it's so hard to get interested in this division because there's just it's so thin. Yeah. And I like the Iconics. I like, there's women's tags. I like the Kabuki Warriors. But if they're only going to be fighting each other, it's the same faults that the men have too. So exactly the same spot we're in with the guys tag division in WWE, right? They just do not care about tag team wrestling. They just do not put it on the same level as the single side. Titles or no titles, it's meaningless. And I mean, thank goodness we had at least one tag team title match on this show that was actually a match. Had a finish. Left me scratching my head. Sheamus versus Jeff Hardy. What do you think about this Jeff got revenge for all those horrible things Sheamus did to... Oh, wait a second. No, he didn't. Sheamus won. I mean, if that was always the intent, like all that stuff, and then Jeff, if this leads to something specific for Jeff, then I'm okay. I'm always going to be okay with it if it leads to some kind of story. But in my mind, it really has to at this point, or else it does feel exactly like you're saying. It feels like they just wasted a bunch more time building this for just one match, and they realized, oh, well, we've been building both these guys. Well, one person has to go over. I guess it's Sheamus, and kind of makes the other guy look stupid. So, and really, after what we saw on Friday on SmackDown with the drug test and the throwing of the piss in the face, like, where do you go from there if you're continuing this feud? Yeah. Obviously, Jeff should be seeking revenge. I mean, I suppose we're destined for one more match. Please, it's just on SmackDown on Friday, and that finishes it. Because what are they going to do? They're going to build this now all the way to SummerSlam. Well, there's Extreme. We got trailers for Extreme Rules tonight, so that is going to be between now and what would be the SummerSlam. So I guess we get 4 more weeks or 3.5 more weeks of this kind of typical Jeff back with garbage before he gets his revenge match. Yeah. Although again, we're in the spot we're in right now. You're left with Sheamus looking like, could he go for Braun Strowman now and be a credible title contender? Yes. Yes, he could. He's a former champion. This gets Braun away from the ridiculousness with Miz and Morrison, gets him into a real match and a real feud. Yeah. Get Sheamus out of this mess with Hardy. Get Hardy out of this mess with Sheamus. Let him go with someone else. Because where does Hardy go with a win anyway right now? Like, if you had The Fiend as the champ, maybe that was the original idea. I don't know. They seem to be hell-bent on bringing back Jeff Hardy and elevating him this time again and giving him this last final run. Similar to what Mysterio got a year and a half ago. Yeah, if they could put him with AJ, I mean, it's not a bad working partner for him. For sure. They've got a history and stuff too, so. I honestly feel Jeff Hardy's the kind of guy that can have a great match with practically anybody. But see, I don't buy him in world title match contention anymore at this stage of his career in the WWE. Right. With the young up-and-comers that they got and everything else. Like, he's at the tail end now. He is a gatekeeper now. Treat him in that role. Let somebody go over him in a long feud. Him and Shane, like you said, you got two guys. Look, fans love them both. Stick them together in a program. That'll draw viewers. Oops, it didn't draw viewers. And we're still stuck with having to finish the story. God damn it. Like, they never know where they're going. I mean, in the long run, it just seemed like it was they had that sort of weird one-off match with Jeff against Cesaro, but it was a really good match.
Yeah.
And like Cesaro and Sheamus are very similar. So if they were like, okay, maybe we could actually build something, we'll do it with a different guy, but they're very similar moveset and that kind of stuff. They could work well, hopefully together. But something, I don't know if it was Jeff or if it felt more like Sheamus, because I haven't seen Sheamus in a bigger, more showcased match. In this sense, he just felt clunky. He felt like a little slower than normal. He felt like winded and like gassed a little, and just sort of, I don't know. It didn't feel like
it probably is
the same comparison to the way how Sheamus looked. So, or to the way Cesaro had looked against Jeff. So I was trying to figure out who it was that was off, but to me there was just something. If it was going to be just this, like to build Sheamus to then be against Braun, I needed a little bit more of not that kind of stuff. So, yeah. I mean, overall, not a terrible match, but nothing like amazing. I can say, yeah, a couple of those sort of faults there. But what do you say? And yeah.
Well, again, did it feel like the main event program from one of the shows? Like this has been the lead program on SmackDown, really.
Yeah, it's had the biggest like story stuff. I mean, outside of, I mean, maybe Miz and Braun, but not really.
Not really.
I mean, with the big cop spot, and it was like it went the whole show, and
yeah. So I don't. For the amount of focus it's had, the match was lackluster. But I don't know what more you'd expect from poor old Sheamus at this point in his career. And again, like you say, it's not a ring rust to Edge's degree, but there's rust there. And
yeah, there's time outside of the ring. If you're just having jobber matches against, I can't think of his name, like that guy that's just everywhere right now is the jobber for WWE.
Flair.
Well, that was the one. Omni Flair, my bad. You got to actually have matches in there with these other guys and stuff like that just to get over it. And there was something that just he felt a little blown up. Maybe it was just me, but he just felt a little bit off. And yeah, see what happens next. But speaking of things that were a little off and uncanny and strange, the Raw Women's Championship, Naiya Jax versus Asuka. What did you make of this?
Wow. I honestly, it was a typical David and Goliath match. They don't seem to have any other way to book these things. The biggest, most interesting thing to me was Naiya earning the double count out or taking it to a double count out, because that keeps it alive. There's obviously going to be a rematch coming now with a no count out rule or a cage match coming.
Well, Extreme Rules,
more advantage for Naiya.
Yeah.
And so I guess, to that degree, I at least had a different finish than what we've seen lately in the same match. But
I had that same sort of.
It's where I'm left with the finish or left with the overall impression of this being a giant Raw or SmackDown. I want finishes at pay-per-views, right? These are supposed to wrap up stories, start new ones.
Yeah, and if they're
closing stuff, not the same things that you've been giving me on Raw to pitch me this match.
Yeah, if this is just the same, like if they only know how to book like the David and Goliath match between, Asuka just going to work a submission, she's going to work her way out of it, and like our only way is eventually she gets caught or she doesn't. Like if that's like the only match you could book between these two, and then they're like, well, okay, but then we'll just have a count out finish. It's like, well, then don't book the match if that's like the only way you're going to go about it, or start changing it up a little bit. Like there's other ways. I'm trying to think of other ways you could book these two, but you're just so conditioned to seeing this out of Naiya, especially, that unless she's going to win, it's just going to be she just gets thwarted. She's just is overconfident in her strength and miscalculates something, gets caught, whatever.
So often with WWE especially, we're shown they're willing to blur the lines between face and heel, often because they can't determine whether they want someone to be a face or a heel any given week. But they blur the lines on it. They'll blur the line on what a face or a heel will do. Why wouldn't we, especially with Asuka, where she's, again, only very recently become a face, I guess, but she became a good guy because Becky got pregnant.
Yeah.
That was her justification for becoming a different polarity with her feelings. Yeah. So, but now here you got Naiya Jax, who's injured her tag partner, in kayfabe or not, 2 or 3 times in matches. there's every justification and rationale and reason and logic and everything, and to build a story where Asuka went in and like snuck a weapon in and sneak attacks her with a chair pre-show, like before the match starts, smashes Nia's knee with a chair.
The mist. She has the mist. She should have been using the mist. Exactly. Well, I mean, I get why they're probably not doing spitting in your face spots right now, but that could be for a whole different reason. But in my mind, that as soon as they went to the outside, I was like, with the plexiglass and everything else, I was like, this is perfect. If she just missed her, but she just can't quite get back in, if you're still going to do the count out or whatever, but it was so missed. Like, she has that perfect thing, like you were talking about, that one little advantage she could try to use over her or whatever, built into her character. And they just sort of like, as soon as she goes face, they're like, well, no, you can't do that anymore.
Hashtag missed opportunity.
Oh.
So then they went to the Universal title match. Follow that with Strowman taking on Miz Morrison. It was awful. I thought it was terrible. I just thought it was a really bad handicap match. Bad match to put Miz and Morrison in. A really bad match to put Strowman in and the belt in, and everything about this was bad.
They really sort of shot themselves in the foot early on with that sort of vignette where there's like, oh, just letting you go, Miz and Morrison, let you guys know, whoever takes the pin tonight, that's who the champion's going to be. And you're instantly like, oh, okay, well then they're going to be fighting over the pinfall, and that's going to be the demise of the match. Like, it was just, again, a wrestling trope, and we say that sometimes there's nothing wrong with wrestling tropes if it's done properly. But in this case, it was so head on the nail. We're just like making sure you all know at home what's going to happen, and we're going to let you know now. And I mean, a little bit interesting maybe with the tease they were like, well, maybe if one of them wins, Otis just cashes in. Like, I've forgotten all about the Money in the Bank already. It's been a month, and I haven't even thought of Otis as a cash in on Braun. It doesn't make sense to me at all, but whatever. We'll get there when it happens, I guess. But this match was they had some pretty good like tag spots between each other and that kind of stuff, and working the big monster guy, but it didn't really do much to put either guy over in any real sense. No. And if all it is setting up their breakup, I guess I'm fine with that, because I want more for Morrison than just this. I guess, I mean, they're like, Hall & Oates song was pretty good at the beginning. It was better than the match.
You're right. It was actually. That was the best part of the first half of the show, probably.
Yeah.
But as you're saying that, though, and I don't agree, I'd like to see the split up to let them do more, both guys, because I always have really liked The Miz.
Right.
So just to see something more than just this base comedy duo thing again, because they're a tag team.
Yeah.
Break them up and let them do it. But now, having said that, right, 3 months ago, you could have seen John Morrison versus Braun Strowman, and they could have built credibility into it. Now, especially after tonight, that's it. Morrison's done. He can't go back to a singles career and credibly go for the Universal or World title for a good 6 months.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, if they break the two of them up between now and if this Extreme Rules or whatever, and we have a triple threat between the three of them or something.
Yeah, but a triple threat between the three of them, if he ends up scoring the pin over The Miz to win the belt, that's not the same as that's our same problem we had on NXT, right, with the women's title. So, I don't know. It's why they got to keep doing this with people with Strowman, to just let him keep crushing guys' credibility that are good workers, that are good wrestlers, that they've had success with in the past, and that they get these squish jobs, only to then not really do anything with Braun. This didn't do anything for him or the Universal title.
And it's so interesting. I don't understand, to me, too, why it seems like it hurts like Miz and Morrison so much more in this situation than I think of. Like, when I talk about Sheamus going for the belt next, I don't think of him winning, but I think of him just being viable in there with Braun and that kind of stuff. I don't know if that's just Braun's match style and that kind of stuff, that he just doesn't clash well with these particular guys. But yeah, they just feel that they're taking so much more at a loss here than someone like Sheamus would. If he just lost to him, well, okay, whatever, you just move on to the next thing for Sheamus. But
for sure. And even though, as we're saying that, I'm reminded of the WrestleMania a couple of years ago where Braun with the 10-year-old Nicholas beat The Bar, which is Sheamus and Cesaro.
That's right. Yeah, I
himself.
couldn't remember who it was, but yeah, geez.
Right? Like,
I mean, he threw out every tag team on his own, and before that to get the shot, yeah, and then one with a 10-year-old. So,
I don't know. I mean, I'm disappointed as usual in the booking with Braun and the booking with the Universal Belt.
Yeah, it's one of those. Where do you go next? It feels like it's just they felt that maybe they've had to sort of fix the Fiend, I guess, and Bray and that kind of stuff since they screwed it up with Goldberg. They did some damage control at Mania, a little bit with the loss to Braun after to maybe show the two sides now of the character. And then I'm still not quite ready for him to come back on Braun, but I don't, unless again, you just do a one-off feud with Hardy. I'm trying to think of who's next for Braun, but Sheamus makes the most sense to me, unless it's
at this point. I think it's only Sheamus, unless you go with AJ. And
well, he just won the IC title, even though we keep saying it doesn't mean anything. But
what's that?
Even though we say it doesn't mean anything, he did just win it.
It would be fruitless and crazy, so it could just be exactly where they're headed.
It sounds like WWE.
Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley in the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match. And my biggest thing again, the Universal match, and then this one follows it, and you're like, good heavens, why does the world title not close the show? There's nothing cripples the World Championship belts or the big belts or the wrestlers holding them and makes them look less like main event stars than not having them close the show in the main event.
Yeah.
And the gimmick that was behind this greatest wrestling match ever, fine. I understand the promotional thing behind it, but that did not make a difference on placement on the card. It did not have to close the show. So
yeah, in the long run, it didn't.
So but the belt needs to. And Drew, and the finish of the match as well, did not help Drew McIntyre. Like, sure, he keeps the belt, he retains it, but he didn't win. He didn't beat Bobby. Lana screwed up Bobby. You called this one, by the way, 100%.
Yeah.
So, it was just.
Well, like you said, you say it hurts. Yeah, it hurts Drew. It definitely does. And to me, it hurts Bobby too, because again, like I had written down, Bobby looks strong and stupid. What else is new? He's been looking strong and stupid since they brought him back. He gets stronger and then not more stupid, but again, he's just stupid. And it's just like, that's just the character? Like he never learns. Like if it wasn't Lana now or before or whatever, it was, the little fella he had with him for a bit.
Sami Zayn, when he was with Leo Rush.
Leo Rush, yeah.
When he was a face and Sami Zayn was the heel antagonizing him, he was strong and stupid. You're exactly right. It's always the same poor shtick for Bob. And it
just seemed like he had finally got strong and smart. Like that MVP had smartened him up.
Yeah.
And again, maybe if he just hasn't quite got there yet, again, I'll always give you the benefit of the doubt if you're telling me a bigger story. But to me, it just feels like, again, it's a ball dropped. Again, even if it was just the booking of the match, he looked so strong, like hitting the Nelson right away and that kind of stuff, seeming like they had a game plan. And like, if it was just going to be, Drew capitalized on a small mistake or like a bit of, there were other ways to just not make him look stupid. He just always looks stupid.
Even Drew capitalizing on an error made in match, he slips out of the full Nelson and catches him with the Claymore when he rushes in to do a spear. So anything like that, an actual wrestling error that Drew capitalizes on, leaves Drew looking better and doesn't leave Bobby looking as stupid. Because it was just a mistake I made. I can come back from making a mistake.
Yeah,
it was the nature of it's his wife again interfering on the apron for no reason. And why wouldn't MVP have run in and tried to stop? He stood there and watched you saying, don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Please get down. Please get down.
Don't do that. Please, hey, don't get up there. Hey, what are you doing out here?
No, stop. You're ruining everything.
No, all this work, everything we've worked for. Like,
terrible.
Just don't have to touch her. Put your hands up. Just, you're not, no.
Yeah. So... yeah, I mean, the match itself, I thought it wasn't terrible. I expect a little bit more from both of them because they are both excellent, athletic, big man workers. Drew has an athleticism, and Bobby, they both have an athleticism that defies their size. They can move faster and they're more agile than most people their size.
Yeah.
And what we're used to seeing out of guys at that thing, especially when they take each other on. So I thought it was a little bit too standard big man on big man slugfesty match for guys that can do more than that. But then when they pulled out some of the stuff,
like they were just doing more MMA spots. I like that from Bobby.
That was good too, and I like that from Bobby as well. I really thought Drew was going to hit him with the tombstone in that one spot right near the end. I thought it was a bit of an ugly spear into the Kimura.
Yeah.
And you rarely, I mean, yeah, they're moving into some of the MMA stuff, but you will rarely see a guy counter a spear attempt with a Kimura in the UFC.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see it.
Oh, absolutely. But yeah,
it was a little sloppy. I thought.
I just liked it. I liked it coming from Drew's end, like where he knows that Bobby's got this MMA background, so maybe he's got to work a few more of these spots. And again, it's stuff that's never mentioned on commentary, but it seemed like something they were maybe trying to like put some story into this as much as they could. But yeah, oh my gosh, talk about no story and nothing going on. We randomly had the Street Profits taking on the Viking Raiders in what was by far the strangest cinematic match we've had in these fan era.
It was the worst. This was the worst effort at cinematic matches, right? And again, understanding they want to present something different during these shows and the fan era. And they've kind of hit on this pay dirt with the cinematic matches thanks to the Boneyard match, and then thanks to the Funhouse match, and then seeing what AEW did with the Stampede. I mean, I think it's fair to say they haven't had any massive success with any of the NXT ones yet.
No, I think the only attempt was, I guess, that match with Velveteen Dream, and it was a huge ball drop to not have it be more fantastical, and they went a little more serious with it, and just it was the setting more than anything else. This to me, this felt like it would have been way more suited as something interstitially all night long. If we had saw like a little bit of it earlier on and then a little bit of it later, it wouldn't have felt like as wacky and stupid as things got. I would definitely have tone that back too, which we can get to. But like, if this was all this was going to be, I would have been way happier because I like those spots. I remember the ones with like, I can't remember the pay-per-view specifically, but it was like, it started with the Mankind Triple H match, and the end of the match is a brawl to the outside, but then they just keep brawling to the crowd, and then they're further in the crowd. Now they're in the back, and then almost between every match, you're catching the two of them somewhere, and this thing just keeps. So it's like, oh, okay, it's just in your mind. And if that was going to lead to. If it's just going to lead to the tag match on Raw or whatever, it was something to keep them on the show, keep them talked about, but don't tease that we're going to get an actual match between these guys, something that has supposed to have been the payoff from this like build-up. If the build-up was literally like in the writer's room, okay, well, they're going to have this best of series, and then it ends with they team up to fight ninjas. And they're like, yes, that's what we're going for. Yes. Ninja.
That's good shit, pal.
Oh, who should be the head ninja? Oh, Tozawa. Oh, he makes so many great noises. It was just, it got so bizarre, and I'm always like, I'm willing to, suspend my disbelief. It's wrestling, whatever, but no, with the fact that it had the like dream sequences, and it had the ninjas, and it had,
and look, I have really enjoyed, over and above what I thought I would by a long shot, I have enjoyed the Street Profit and Viking Raiders bits on Raw over the last few weeks. When they've been funny, they have been entertaining for the most part, right?
Yeah. I like to see the guys have this other side. It's not what I prefer from the Viking Raiders, but it's good that they can show it. Yeah.
But from at least, so from the week they did the carpool karaoke, you can't deny we've seen character development from the Viking Raiders. Has it been relevant to not necessarily?
No, but
we've seen character development, and we're getting to know and getting to really fall in love with the Viking Raiders and the Street Profits, and get to know them and like these guys, right?
Yeah.
And come to but yeah, exactly what you said. The paper, like the pay-per-view this was a match promoted between them. We're gonna have a world tag team.
So I'm expecting the payoff.
So when you say it was gonna be the match on next, and then the commentary, we're gonna cut away in the parking lot because this thing's going on. Well, nothing was going on. They're chatting in the party because they're buddies now. And then they just start fighting. And then the action music, when it kicked in, then they smashed Strowman's windshield, which I guess is never going to be fixed.
Yeah.
And the golf clubs came out. Then the shields come up and the axe comes up and the bowling ball comes up.
Yeah.
And they're chatting still and they're all very friendly still because we've seen them build a friendship for the last 4 weeks now.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no anger. There's no real reason other than the belts or whatever. Okay, well, then let's get in the ring.
They're not fighting for the belts because they're not in the ring.
You say fight like men. Okay, if it's just going to be keep eating these jokes, then I'm fine. Like, break up the monotony of the night and throw these jokes in interstitially here and there or whatever. But, like, it doesn't have to be like this big vignette.
We got to that.
Mini movie
that was the very next line. Let's fight like men, civilized. Why didn't they head to the ring at that point?
Yeah. Just cut straight to it, right?
But instead, that was in the hallway when they started, like, you speak of leg slap classes, Randy Orton. Oh my goodness, the slaps were just, it was obscene.
Yeah,
it was constant.
Echoing. Yeah,
it was every hit, and you're like, oh guys, cut it out. The bowling ball to the groin. That was the most drawn out 4 minutes for the worst 2-second punchline that you knew was coming as soon as they picked up the bowling ball.
Yeah.
That was
and it's like if you haven't watched
Kevin Dunn and Bruce Pritchard at their finest. Do you think you put Bruce Pritchard in charge of creative? Oh, good choice. Excellent job. That's the kind of hilarity we can look forward to seeing on Raw every week from now on. More things to the nuts, guys.
Sweet. Yeah. Yeah. This is the kind of like build and payoff that you can like actually expect. It's just, yeah. It's
ball
not...
shots and boobies. Yeah.
Yay.
Kevin Dunn and Vince and Bruce. Yeah, you're funny guys. Fuck.
Bringing it home, fellas. Bringing it home. Yeah.
The spear through the glass window was really good. The
dream. Yeah, I gotta say there was good spots. I think that's why I felt like
not so much. It was...
Yeah. This maybe taking it a little too far, which I hate too, because I'm sure the response is good. I'm sure we're not the only ones that feel this way. And if that sort of response means they're going to do less of this, I don't like that idea either, because you always got to try things. Try something new is what got us to this point in the first place, right? So there's still matches to be had in the vignette world. It just needs to be a little better orchestrated. So speaking of orchestrated and interestingly filmed matches, let's segue into our main event of what was boasted up to be the greatest wrestling match ever. Edge taking on Randy Orton. Chris, was this the world's greatest wrestling match?
It was a pretty good match.
It was a pretty good match.
But no, it was not the greatest match ever. I mean, it was too deliberate and too orchestrated to be the best ever. It didn't feel... I mean, it didn't even feel as naturally flowing as Edge versus Mankind from their WrestleMania match with the Flaming Table.
Right.
That was a better match just from its natural flow and storytelling of it. So
I wonder how it almost would have felt.
This match, though.
What's that?
I'm not going to shit on this match, though. Like,
no, that's my thing. I wonder. My shitting on it is the promotion of it and the build of it, because I feel that like I was like as I'm watching it, I'm like, if they hadn't done all the extra talk and all this stuff, not the guys, but the promotional aspect of it, the greatest wrestling match ever, the starting the night off with showing like Andre and Hogan, showing Austin and Shawn, showing the end of an era, like where you're already putting it on a pedestal that it's like it's so insanely hard to live up to, and the stuff they kept referencing in the commentary and stuff like that, it just didn't help the match. It made it felt so contrived, whereas if this was just a match, they built it the same way. The great, let's try and have a really good wrestling match, or I'm going to challenge you to, wrestle me and that kind of stuff. That's the story they told, that it was really good in that sense. So I don't want to take that away from the match, because they worked their asses off here. It was a great performance on both ends. I like to see Randy fucking put himself out there. He doesn't get into matches like that often, but when he does, he shows how good he is. I think it just faltered from all the other stuff. And then to me too, the biggest distracting thing was the crowd noise. What did you make of that?
Oh my God. The sweetened sound from Superstars back on Fox 29 and CH.
How old was that?
What it was. That's what they were playing over. But I mean, back in the day, it was you didn't know. When we first started watching wrestling on television, we had no idea that what sweetened sound was.
Yeah.
That was the crowd noise. We weren't hearing the real crowd. You probably never knew that unless you went to a live wrestling event.
Yeah.
And that's when you realized, wait, where's all this silence? There's moments of people not saying
random chanting or
crowds with thousands. I saw it was live at Skydome, Maple Leaf Gardens for lots of cards, Hamilton's Cops Coliseum.
Right.
Lots of times when nobody's making a noise, but never when you watch it on television, because what you heard tonight during Edge and Randy, that's what they played. But you bought it then because you should see the crowd. Now I can see you got the 25 NXT rejects in the background making noise, and that again was just the Fight Forever chant tonight was the cringy worthiest thing in a long time, because it's not natural when you get that force of it.
Well, you could catch people saying, let's go Randy, let's go Edge. Like, they were cheering for both people as much as they were probably told cheer for one. They would get confused as to who they're supposed to cheer for. And they were so all over the place with just, the crowd, especially in this match. And with it kicking off with something so nice to use the soft and sweet tribute alternate noise effect with the Finkel intro, to have Finkel introduce them and that kind of stuff. It was a great tribute to Finkel, and to have that crowd response stuff too. But I mean, that softened noise, it caught me right away. I wasn't in the room when Edge walked out, but the pop, I was like, man, that NXT crowd really came alive for him. And I was like, no, that's because they ain't there. Yeah. And I wonder, was it piped in live? Were they responding to it live, or was it just post?
No, it was just somebody hit the play button. Yeah. And then, but it got worse when they would hit it on the boo, like the booing for Randy.
The boo was the most jarring. Cheering is fine, but the boos, it was so instant, and you're just like that. The crowd is the one who dictates that kind of stuff, and what moves dictate those kind of things. And when they're not there,
I was faked in the 80s and the 90s into believing that was the crowd making those noises and booing and cheering when they were supposed to.
Yeah.
Then you've realized, once you learned what that was, oh, now I see. It wasn't actually the crowd at all. And tonight, that was just...
Well, for how many of them were cheering for Orton? Well, why are you all booing now when he gets a move off? So it was very jarring. So that I felt those kind of things, like that kind of stuff, to sweeten the match, the changed audio,
I guess
extra camera angles. And
when he said the extra camera angles, though, the only extra camera angle I noted, aside from they've used those ringside corner planted ones before, for various things. The only new innovative camera angle I noticed tonight was catching Edge's face when Orton had him in his vintage DDT off the ropes move, and they zoomed right in on Edge's face. Oh, this is gonna hurt my neck!
They brought back the ceiling cam, which is always. I remember it from WrestleMania 10 and
we've seen that before.
It's been around. They kind of brought that back, and it worked for a few of the spots. And if all they were saying for inventive camera stuff, if it was just because when he did the big superplex, they shake the camera. And, it was so jarring. Even they didn't even have a replay of it without extra stuff on it. I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Those are the stuff I think that hurt the match. If the match had just been the match, I'd have been happy. It had a great early storytelling. Randy was just outsmarting Edge at first, and then it was okay. Can Edge get the upper hand? And then he did kind of get the upper hand, and then they were, it was who can get their move set off better and the better sort of, and they were catching each other and that kind of stuff. And then they're like, well, if we're catching each other in each other's moves, let's start using our friends' moves. And then they start busting out, other feuds and other people's stuff. So you're getting that sort of callback. Great stuff that you like from a big, send-off storytelling matchup like this. So, yeah, I feel like the other stuff sort of detracted from it, though, from being what could have been considered a great wrestling match. But when you advertise it like that, you're never going to live up to those kind of lofty expectations.
No, exactly. If Steamboat versus Flair had been billed beforehand as the greatest wrestling match of all time, it wouldn't have been considered that by as many people. You'd probably say the same for Omega and Okada. So
yeah,
right,
I mean,
you just can't bill a match like that for all the reasons, and quite fairly, all the reasons that Edge and Orton pointed out in the last week, 2 weeks, why they shouldn't have done that. They wish that it hadn't have been built that way. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely not their fault and their will that it went that way. That's on the company. But I thought they did a great job in the beginning at the open of the match with the way that Edge was really selling. He felt that he was one step behind.
Yeah.
Seeing it, this idea that his mind's ticking of like, he's gonna get me any second now.
He's
like,
got me at every turn. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not in control here. He's in control, and it didn't take long for them to step with that. I like that. I thought they overplayed the trip out of the ring early, but I did. But again,
start the blood.
I
wondered about that with it being pre-taped.
When Orton busted himself open and the plants started chanting, "This is awesome," and all I'm thinking in my mind is like, "Oh my God, Vince is the UFC Just Bleed guy, is it?" Because he doesn't think fans chant "This is awesome" for the reason fans chant "This is awesome."
Yeah.
Like, oh, there was blood. Well, then you should chant,
this is awesome. Yeah.
That's what's awesome to Vince. That's not why, like, right? It's how did you, sometimes, okay, fans have cried out, "This is awesome" at a bust open spot.
It's how you got there.
Exactly. It's, the trip, not the...
Yeah, I mean, how much blood was in Dusty and Cody, but, I mean, justifiably so. And, like...
The other thing with the Crimson was that disappeared way too quick. The editing there was obvious that there must have been enough of a pause in between the headbutt or the blade or whatever split him open.
Yeah.
And the next bit in the ring when Edge had him in the headlock because he was clean.
Well, just how dry it was on him too by the end was so jarring too. It was like, I've never seen a wrestler with that much dried blood, especially on them. So.
I did like the Edge's concern over his neck from taking the various hits and those big shots to it. If it was well done, if not obvious, but I like that Orton was like violently targeting the various. I thought that was strong. Orton looked good. Edge looked good. It was a good. They did great job with the story set. The Three Amigos. That was great.
Yeah, it led into I'm gonna say Kurt called Orton out for not saying he was gonna win this match, so he does the angle. Slam,
the Olympic slam.
The call-ups and that kind of stuff were great.
Class.
Yeah, or even just like the unprettier for Christian giving Edge a hard time on Raw. So nice little touches and that kind of stuff. And I don't know if the fact that commentary mentioning it makes it too obvious and that kind of stuff. But I mean, sometimes it is good to sort of reference these things. I don't know. I'm trying to think of what hurt this the most, but
I bounced back and forth on commentary all night tonight. I thought at the end of the day, I guess to give the devil its due, I thought this was one of the better performances from Phillips and Saxon, where they didn't suck. The show, I thought, and I don't know if that's just Joe adds to it enough, because I thought he was fine tonight. I thought they sounded good as a team. I thought they did a good job selling the points they're supposed to sell in the matches and selling the stories that they're supposed to be selling, right? The thing that drives me most angry with Michael Cole, when I just want to reach through the screen and choke the shit out of that guy, is he just is not talking about the match in the ring at the moment. Michael Cole spends the majority of whatever's going on in front of him selling himself or Corey Graves or something else is going to happen later on or a different week from today.
Yeah, and whatever was happening with these guys previously or what's coming up later on or there's too much not focusing on what's right now.
In the moment. And these guys stayed in the moment and I thought did a good job of explaining why, like when Edge starts doing the shoulder attacks on Orton, making sure they're bringing up the Orton shoulder injury from early in his career.
Yeah.
Focusing on, like you say, going through the other spots, making sure if you don't know where the rock bottom comes from, if you're fairly new, if you don't know the pedigree, if you don't know the unprettier. Maybe with some of Edge's old, the Edge-O-Matic, that was one of his old finishers, the Edge-O-Cution. He was using that as a finisher a long time ago. So it was nice that they were referencing by names and getting that stuff across. I thought the RKO was coming several times, like the RKO out of nowhere that didn't hit.
I like that he would switch it to the uppercut. That was a real nice storytelling moment too, where you're conditioned again now to know that Randy's going for the RKO. And when he went for it early and Edge caught him, then he was like, okay, well, I just need to work him a little more. So then every time he had the opportunity, you could tell he was like, I could go for it here, but I'm going to uppercut instead. So that was a nice sort of the mentality that Randy had coming in here. No, I'm going to say he's very methodical and he can do these great styled matches when he's into it, right? So.
And the rolls up and the schoolboys and stuff into the first RKO, I thought that was a great little sequence. And I was shocked Edge kicked out then, because I think it was about 10-2 at that point.
It seemed like a pretty, if you're going to just go out real clean fast here, you could.
I was surprised Edge kicked out, and I thought the pump was coming up, so I was surprised when he countered that with the spear. I think at that point, we still had about 10 minutes of the match left. And that, to me, was when we're like, okay, this is hit that second gear. We've had some great storytelling, had some good wrestling. And it didn't.
Both guys had their high spot. They both came back. Yeah.
So I like that. The second RKO, and then he kicked out at the second RKO. I was a little
off the Brett rope. Yeah.
Okay, he's you can't finish either of these guys kind of moment. And then the punt, and then it was over. So, I wrote down, greatest match ever. No, but very good and easily the best of the night.
Yeah, easily best of the night. Easily one of the better matches these two have had. Way better than the Mania match. I would have rather seen this match, I think, on that card even, with the same kind of build, and then build to a more Edge having to take him to extremes to sort of get his sought after revenge. But
I'll be honest, I still think I preferred the Mania match to this one, because at the end of the day, it's the forced feeling of this all the way around. The WrestleMania match, for the way that it was, and it obviously pre-recorded and obviously choreographed out, it still felt like there was a more natural flow and progression to me from where they went from the ring to the weight room into what they used, how they did it.
Right.
Maybe a lot of that was the crowd in this one and the sound effects in this
all the extra stuff. I wonder if I go back and watch it in silence, think about all the other stuff, how will it feel? Because I don't want to take away from how much they worked. They put on a great match. So, yeah, that ending was fantastic.
From AJ from Friday Night SmackDown, AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan's match, that was a classic.
Yeah,
and that to me felt like a more natural match than this one again.
They're more natural storytellers.
Each other as far as greatest ever matches, that was an excellent match on Friday. It was excellent.
Yeah.
So greatest match ever doesn't need to be long. Again, we're not saying anything nobody already knows, right? Everyone knows that stuff.
Yeah, it was about what you were going to choose to incorporate and that kind of stuff. So, yeah, they maybe tried a few too many things here with the extras and that kind of stuff. I certainly don't think I want to hear any more of that enhanced crowd noise. How about you?
No, I can do that.
Yeah, so I'm
hoping might as well give me a green screen in the thing and give me an enhanced audience picture and pretend there's crowds there, right?
At this point.
What's the difference if you're going to do crowd sounds that aren't there and we know they're not there? Then put an audience in with a video that we know isn't there. I don't see the difference.
Yeah, pipe it in from a Raw that you've got just footage of, right? So it wouldn't be impossible, but yeah. All in all,
on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you give it?
1 to 10 scale. This Backlash, like a 4.
Oh,
maybe. It wasn't I don't know. 5 to me, it feels like it would have to have enough matches to be recommendable-ish. To be the whole card's not great, but there's a few things that maybe are redeemable. But to me, this the main event would be the only thing worth rewatching on this whole card.
Fair.
So,
if you missed it,
you could give it as a 4. And the only reason I give that a 4 is just because this match is very good. So I would almost maybe then give it a 5 because this match was pretty good. So yeah, 4.5 then. I'll settle. How about you?
Yeah, snap. I'll agree with you on that.
All right.
You're right. There's nothing you could recommend to watch outside of the main event match, and even that is. I think I'd be more. I was more apt to be telling people from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, oh, you got to watch AJ versus Daniel Bryan from SmackDown. Yeah. You got to go find that. It's online. Right. This one, I mean, I would say go and find it if you didn't watch it, but not right now. You know, don't drop everything you're doing to watch it. You got time.
No, yeah, come back to it. Maybe it won't feel as like jarring with the crowd noise and stuff because they obviously don't mention it. So
Raw will be on later.
It was very, very like on this card when you've heard other matches without it, all of a sudden hearing it and very, very sort of
and to
odd step.
Mention that you're going to be hearing this with enhanced sound.
When I wrote that down, I was like, oh, maybe they're going to talk to each other in the ring and we're actually going to hear like, oh, I hate you, Randy. I've had enough of you, Reg. Like
that would have been better.
Some more communication and story in that sense, but like, yeah, no, and it was just enhanced audio, and it was like, oh, that's what you mean, sweetened audience noise.
Have you ever seen the TNA video, the clip Booker T doing commentary? He slides into the ring, keeping the mic, and he does commentary while he beats guys up.
I think I have seen clips of that. Yeah,
Booker's stalking him. Booker's stalking him. He's kicking the crowd out of him. He starts kicking, dumping a mud hole out of whoever it is in the corner. Might even be Samoa Joe. I'm not sure. I think he's more AJ. It was good. But yeah, something like that would have been much better than the sweetened sound that we got or the enhanced. I don't know what that was all about.
Yeah, just to hear them talking with each other more, just to have it be like you had some of that in the Dream Cole match or whatever, but it just didn't quite work for that story and that kind of thing. But yeah, oh well. 4.5 out of 10. We'll see what happens with Extreme Rules next month, but we'll be back here sooner on Low Blow Radio podcast on YouTube. Thanks for listening and watching, everybody. And,
follow us on Twitter.
Yes.
LowBlow887.
That's right.
Check us out, the podcast in audio edition on Spotify, on Google Podcasts, on Apple Podcasts, most places that you get podcasts.
Fantastic. And every Wednesday night, you can always catch us live on 88.7 The River. Check it out. There's a link in the bio, and it's at 7 o'clock on Wednesday night. So check us out then, and we'll catch you next time. All right, everybody.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Goodbye.